Tēnā koutou e hoa maha. Ko Michael Tēnei, and you're listening to Arrow FM, your community access radio station. This is Isolation Blues, a program where I pop into the station every morning. I'm in my own bubble, nobody else with me, but various guests call in by our video link and give us their expert advice or share what's going on in their bubbles and talk about the services that they provide and what we can do now that they're no longer able to provide those services directly. Maybe they can do something with us on air. Ian Chapman from King Street Artworks will be calling in shortly, and that is a crucial service for people in our region, and I'm very interested to hear Ian's advice to perhaps the people who frequent King Street Artworks and what they can do to help themselves through this difficult period. Now, I said that every morning I'd start off with a piece of music that is perhaps a little, I was going to say challenging, but I just mean a different take on situation, isolation, and I just thought of a great one by the Beatles. So here's something you can do. Well, that's ironic that they were saying no one will be watching us, and for those who are watching this on the television, indeed you were watching me. The camera's supposed to turn off when we go to a piece of music, and there I am. Anyway, that's a little hint of a few things that you can do while people are in their houses. But no, don't do it in the road. Certainly not outside your bubble. So if you are going outside, try and restrict yourselves to the people that you are isolating with. Don't come into contact with anyone else. Keep a wide berth, at least 2 meters away. Now, I can hear some little clicky sounds, and I bet you that's Ian Chapman.
Hello, Michael.
Yeah, there he is. G'day, Ian. Good to see you.
How are you going?
Oh, well, coping. If it wasn't for a few technical problems that I have at the station, I'd find this a breeze.
I'm very impressed that you've got this up and running so quickly.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, good old Toby. Toby is the Wired Up TV guy, and he keeps inventing stuff for us. And look, there you are. So, Ian, how are you coping in your little isolation bubble? I want to know, are you personally being creative during this time?
Well, actually, I haven't had a lot of time to be creative in a kind of personal way. I've been creative almost in a global way, where I've been creating workshops that are going online for King Street. So we're trying to keep people engaged all the time. So I've been posting workshops about, well, sometimes it's just about kind of facts, for example, that the GPs are a little bit quiet at the moment, and because I think people are staying home afraid that they're going to be so busy and they don't want to talk to them and waste their time when they've got all this COVID stuff happening. But in fact, they want people to call them. So that's a really important thing. Look after your health. If you've got an issue, go and see your GP. Don't be afraid to do so. That's really, really important.
Right.
So that's the sort of thing we've been posting on.
That is exactly what I was going to ask you about. Is King Street Artworks presents a crucial service to people in our community, and I was wondering how you were looking at filling in that huge gap, and already you're onto it.
Well, we've also immediately, after we got the level 3 notification, we set up 2 chat rooms on our Facebook page. And so one is basically, it's called the King Street Quarantine page, and it is a page or a chat room where artists can talk to each other, talk about their issues, have quizzes, play games, just a lot of peer support happening there. And removes that kind of isolation thing, because we don't want people isolated. We know isolation. And are you still there, Michael? Because your picture's gone.
Oh, okay. Look, if you want to watch me, that's me. How about that?
So that was really important, that we need to establish that network straight away so people can connect. And there's up to 40 people in there at any one time. It's really, really cool. And then the other one we set up was the art focus page, so people so we can actually purely focus on art and crafts, and people are posting workshops and what they've been doing, and I've been posting a few workshops, and it's been a steep learning curve for me in respect to the technology, posting things on Facebook for a start, but also creating videos and learning how to use video editors, and that's all happened in the last week. So there's a lot happens. So what we're doing is we're just trying to bubble along as normal, and the kind of, this is the new norm for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe longer.
I think
so.
Longer,
we've just got to make the best of it. You've disappeared again. Does it make any difference, or is it just me talking?
Look, you're just so incredibly fascinating. The camera just loves you. It's going to stay with you, Ian.
Yeah, so I just, all credit to the King Street artists. They are supporting each other. The staff are in there all the time as well, so giving them, anything really, anything people that need. And also, we are very aware that there are people that aren't connected socially through Facebook. So staff are ringing around and making sure that those people are being looked after, that they're not just sitting at home on their own, making sure they've got a family network that's contacting them regularly, making sure that they're being contacted by King Street artists if they want that to happen. So all those sort of things are happening. So it's a really cool little community that we're having, that's happening down at King Street.
That's a very thorough service. That's almost wraparound. Ian, what you and your staff, it's almost like I'm finding myself busier now than in my normal radio life here, because there are so many aspects to making sure that people are still connected and getting the message across, talking with people like you, etc. What an amazing service! You're phoning people up as well individually.
Yeah. So that, if people are becoming unwell and they're feeling, isolation is really horrible for people. And if you're worried about food and things like that, that can be terrifying. And if you're unwell and you're worried about finding the doctor, that's also terrifying. So if we can give somebody a phone call and say what's happening for you, and they're saying this is happening, we can then refer them to the appropriate agency. And so there are agencies still out there. There are Pathways and Te Hoa are still operating. Obviously, we're working in a completely different way from usual, but we are still operating. So it's really important that that message is out there.
Yeah,
and anybody can join the King Street Facebook page. Anybody at all.
Right. And what about just the art side of it? Are you still sort of guiding people through creating their own artworks during this time?
We had this really cool workshop running, and actually it was instigated by one of the King Street artists, and she suggested that we have a canvas or a drawing, and each day throughout the isolation period we add to it, and so you kind of create a background. So that could be. It could be your kitchen sink, it could be a forest, it could be space, it could be the sea, and each day we add to that illustration, the picture, and it will build up over the month, and hopefully we'll have a show of all these works at the end of the month, or when we reopen, when things get back to whatever normal is going to be after all this.
And that artwork exists online or something, does it? And people...
So people are posting, they are posting what they're doing, and so I'm creating workshops around that. So I'm posting illustrative workshops showing what I'm doing and some of the techniques around, say, laying down paints and glazing and all those sort of things, and just drawing. Yesterday I put a 10-minute video on the different ways I work, which is using Photoshop to construct a painting, or just freeform drawing. So that was just an interesting. I found it was quite interesting. I don't know if anybody else does, but it's, at least it engages people. They can, if they don't like it, that's fine. They're still engaged, and they may be looking forward to the next one to have moan about or enjoy. I don't know. It doesn't matter really. It's just having a bit of fun and keeping people engaged as the same.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a major exhibition coming up once this isolation period is over. So much work.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I, like you, it's been so odd, so surreal that my work hours seem to have grown quite dramatically over the last week.
Yeah.
But you've got to take it as you get it. So sometimes, I might just take a couple of hours off in the afternoon, and then in the evening there's might be something to be done. So you just got to. It's just thinking laterally about what you've got to do and when you've got to do it. And initially, I think it's the whole guilt thing of being at home as well. I'm being paid. I should be doing work, so I'm doing as much work as we possibly can.
I know we struggle with that, don't we? I always feel sort of a little bit presumptuous when government says that I'm an essential service. But but I sort of come here and I put in a couple of hours, and it's a stressful time because, Ian, we've also got this problem with the a part of our transmitter. Well, it's without getting too technical, we had a bit of lightning strike, and there's a few little holes in one of our cables. The rain gets in, and every so often we go off air, and either that or aliens are trying to contact us, because it sounds pretty weird. But
that's actually. That would surprise you, Michael. The way things are in the world at the moment, aliens landing on the White House lawn would be a good thing, wouldn't it?
I think so, yeah. That's right, yeah. I don't know, it might be confusing if they say, take me to your leader. We go, not that guy, not him.
Not that guy. Anybody else.
Yeah. So I've had the stress of turning up here in the morning going, I wonder if the radio's going. But the good thing is we also stream online. And programs like this will then get podcast, both as an audio podcast and a video podcast on our page. So there are many ways to grab these programs, but I still get stressed about it. And I come here, and then all of a sudden my Facebook presence is more, that's my way of getting out to people. And I get home and I go to bed for an hour. And then I get up and then I do the stuff around home. I've been tidying the garage and all sorts of, a lot of DIY going on.
That's very, very amazing, really. I just, haven't got around to doing anything like that. I've got a lot of things on my plans to do, but just haven't had time to do it. So it'll happen, I expect. Yeah. But the thing is, the weather, how quickly we get sick of the rain. We were desperate for it 10 days ago, and now please go away. Put some sunshine.
I know. And you run a radio station, and you know that one of the things you're vulnerable to is lightning, because we got this massive mast pointing into the sky. It's like saying, hit me. And, that's just what we need now. But it's all right. Hey, Rick, how are you there regarding, look, without getting indelicate, how big is your bubble?
Well, my bubble is basically me, 2 cats and my partner.
Right.
And my partner works for a care home, so she's still required to go to work. So there's a bit of a stress around that as well, because she's at risk.
Yeah.
But other than that, it is a little bit lonely during the day. I think the cats are getting sick of me.
Yeah.
But there's only so much you can talk to them about. They don't really respond very well. Anyway, but we're just bubbling along, no pun intended, and doing the best we can. And I think, we're well stocked food-wise and things like that. So we didn't stock up particularly, but we just do that kind of regular shop. I found the supermarkets were pretty well stocked, and not many people in them when I went there. So it's all pretty good.
Yeah, we've tried to be good people by not, madly panic buying and things. But the trouble is that if everybody else panic buys, then we're in trouble. But we've got enough. Yeah. And I'm looking up all sorts of recipes for stuff you'll find in the back of your pantry. I didn't know I still had some lentils. Yeah.
Oh no, we had that conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
Because when we were a lot poorer with kids, lentil burgers were one of the things that we had regularly, and I absolutely hated them.
Yeah.
And my partner Alison said yesterday, "Oh, we've got lentils. I can make some burgers." No, we're not that desperate yet.
Well, look, maybe I'll send you a link to a great lentil recipe that is not burgers that I found on the New York Times website, because they've got a little recipe section where they say, look, we know you might not be able to access your usual stuff, but dig around, because here's a really interesting Arabian recipe or whatever. That's, I guess,
actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's one of the ways that you get a bit creative, not just like in your sense, turning out artworks or advising other people, but you get creative with what am I going to do with next to nothing in the fridge.
Yeah. Or using up the stuff that's there, because in the past you kind of just, so what? But now we're being a bit more cautious about using everything rather than just going to the supermarket and getting new stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty good. I'm not very adventurous as a cook.
No.
And since I'm working, I tend to do a lot more cooking, but I don't enjoy it. So, but actually, that lentil recipe, if you could pass it on to me, I could pass it on to the King Street artists as well. They would really enjoy that.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I am creative as regards that, but creative in a kind of ham-fisted way. Like if my wife is out of town for any reason, that's when I dig to the back of the cupboard and I go, some would say these ingredients don't go together. I say they do.
Oh my God, I just couldn't imagine what they would do.
I figure if you like stuff, put it all together.
Yeah. Cream corn and bird's custard, yum.
Yeah, sardine milkshake. So, so you got your cats and your partner. Do you find, without getting too personal, that it's an interesting period to learn how to kind of share your thoughts a bit more with the people in your bubble, to be a bit more generous with give and take, and just
I
on
think
that
that. But I
personal
think
level?
for me, I think the main take home is really connecting with those people that you wouldn't ordinarily have connected to every week. That you might connect once a month. I mean, I've got 4 kids out there, and I talk to them all the time. But there are other people on my kind of call list that I haven't spoken to for ages, and we have been in contact, and just general chats about catching up about things. So I think that's really important, and maybe this is a big positive out of the whole thing, is that we are going to be better connected in the future and more willing to chat to people.
Yeah, the first thing I did a couple of weeks ago is I texted everybody on my phone list that I thought was over 60. And just with some cheery messages and how are you and things. And it is true that we're being encouraged to think about those connections. I've also,
I think this
sorry, carry on. You go, Ian.
I was reaffirming what you were saying, that it's so important to keep those connections, and I do hope it's going to carry on after this whole thing's happened, because what I'd hate to see is us slipping back into the old habits again, because what's obviously happening at the moment is the planet is healing itself really quickly. We're seeing the smog clear from cities, we're seeing wildlife come into the middle of cities, so things are happening that way. Less reliance on the vehicles, less need to go shopping all the blooming time, and connecting with our families. That's pretty good stuff. If we can keep that going after all this, we're in a much better world, aren't we?
I think we are. And depending on how long this goes, I do think it will have a lasting effect. I mean, I don't think we're being idealistic to say that people all over the world have noticed those very changes that you talk about. The planet seems to be healing itself a little bit. And maybe we have to go, do you know what? This was a kind of... I'm not a superstitious person. I don't think the planet was giving us a warning with this. But let's take it as a bit of a warning and see what we can do to modify our behaviour in the future.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. As I said, I hate to think we're going to just slip back into the old world after all this.
Yeah.
So, is this going to be a regular show then, Mike?
Well, I'm on every morning, and I've been speaking with a whole bunch of people. Spoke with Alex Bayan, the mayor of South Wairarapa, just yesterday. I've spoken with Jane Ross. She's going to come on regularly doing a film kind of tips for couch potatoes, I guess you could say. She's got great knowledge of all sorts of films and movies and television programs that you can access without necessarily laying out wads of cash. And I've got a full program for another 2 weeks yet, every morning. But Ian, if you ever want, if you think, hey, I'd like to, grab hold of the Arrow FM audience, just text me and we'll schedule another one.
Sure, we'll do. I think we'll probably will do that because it's just another way of getting people to connect with us as well. So,
yeah. Do you know one thing that I think is wonderful is it's the artists, musicians, painters, whatever, that maybe that are really suffering in this period from loss of gigs, I don't know, exhibitions, whatever.
Yeah.
And yet they're the ones who are getting online to keep us entertained for free during this period. What a great bunch of people. I hope they all don't die of starvation from the loss of income. And they're greatly valued. People, those people who go, well, yes, it's nice to have, but really, what's the point? I really do think artists define who we are, and they are the ones who instigate social change. It's just that it happens gradually over time.
There was a wonderful post on Facebook the other day about the importance of arts because somebody was criticising, this was obviously before lockdown, but they were criticising artists as a waste of time and waste of money. But then somebody posted, well, what are you doing now? You're looking at movies, you're reading books, you may be being creative in your own way. So art is so important, and it's really important for your mental health to create. As far as I'm concerned, it's number one. And you don't need money to create, though. That's what I think is we need to get over to people. I'm very fortunate because I'm an artist at home, so I do have all the materials that I need. But other people don't, and you don't have to go and buy the expensive stuff. You can use scrap pieces of paper. You can use collage, old magazines. You can go and do some found object sculpture. If you're cleaning out your garage, Michael, you might find some old stuff that you want to create a sculpture out of.
Yeah, try telling that to Damien Hirst.
Oh, yeah. A diamond encrusted clutch pedal or something, aren't I? Yeah, but the garden is a great resource as well. So, at this time of year, we've got leaves falling, we've got plants dying, and you've got petals and bark and anything you can create with. So you just got to think laterally. And most people have stuff in their house that they can create with. It's just you don't have to use a lot of money. You don't have to be totally professional about it. Just use your imagination.
Yeah, I knew a fabric artist who once said to me, never throw away your onion skins, give them to me. Because she was using them for dye.
Exactly.
It's true that the world is a reservoir of everything we need to do everything we need. Whatever that meant.
Yeah, so keep that. My advice to people is keep connected, keep creating. If you're feeling like you're becoming isolated and depressed, contact someone immediately. Don't feel that you've got to go through this alone. There are ways we can keep in touch with people. And if you're feeling unwell in any way, not just with the symptoms of COVID, but in any way, please contact your GP. They are wanting people to make appointments, and don't be afraid to do so. I think it's really important that you keep your health up to scratch.
Great. Thank you, Ian. I'm glad that your health seems to be fine and that you're mentally keeping on top of this. And thank you for all the work that you and the staff at King Street are doing to keep people connected, keep people creative, and fill that huge gap that the physical presence of King Street Artworks has left.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. And to you too. Thanks for allowing us to come on the show. And I think you're doing a great job keeping people informed. That's what we're here for.
Great. All right. We'll talk to you again, Ian. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. See you later.
Bye. Right. Hang on. he's gone now. Another bit of music. I think it's a time to join with Womack and Womack and celebrate the world. Womack and Womack, celebrate the world. That's a nice kind of feel, isn't it, to almost end the program on. But I'm just going to mention a few things from the government COVID-19 updates that we get sent. I'll just give you the new stuff. If you do need to see your GP or pharmacist and you think you may have COVID-19, call ahead to the healthcare provider and they'll give you advice on what to do. All right. Flu tracking. This is an online survey which asks if you've had a fever or cough in the last week to help track COVID-19 in New Zealand. So they're encouraging people to register online at www.info.flutracking.net. www.info.flutracking.net. There has been increased traffic on the mobile network. Telecommunications network operators are working to manage any congestion issues. So apart from people doing crucial and vital stuff, we're all sitting watching movies and things online, aren't we? So that's creating a bit of congestion, but they're working on it. Rubbish collection will continue throughout the period. However, I believe recycling is won't be collected for a couple of weeks. Any waste that you do with your gardening or anything should remain on your site until the level 4 period is ended. The Minister of Education has changed the school holidays for 2020 to start earlier. Well, we know that. It already happened during the lockdown period. School holidays started on Saturday, the 28th of March, and schools will start back for Term 2 on Wednesday, the 15th of April. But I'd hang on to find out whether that's going to happen or not, because things are changing on a daily basis. The government supporting all state sector and state integrated schools and early learning services to implement or continue with distance learning from the start of Term 2, so that could happen. During the lockdown, and this is important, people, school buildings and playgrounds are closed unless the buildings have been approved for special use by the Secretary for Education, because you go in there and you play on the playground equipment, and you could, by contacting those hard surfaces, the virus can hang around for a while on that, especially plastic. The Ministry is providing regular updates to schools, early learning services and tertiary students and providers. Bulletins, well, teachers and educators will know about that. There's a bulletin especially for that, online bulletin. I'm only giving you the new stuff. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure and a privilege chatting with you this morning, and really pleased and impressed to hear that all of the work that Ian and staff from King Street Artworks are doing to keep everybody involved, keep them creative. What a lot of great innovations that Ian and the team have come up with. No wonder he's busy. All right, well, that's it from me. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Tomorrow's what? If it's Thursday, yeah, Jane Ross will be phoning in with more tips for ways you can entertain yourselves while munching on chippies and sitting on the couch. Talk to you then.